What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Azkhalon, and in today's video, I'm going to walk you through the road to the show in MLB The Show 25. I'm going to show you how to set everything up and get you to playing some AA minor league baseball. I'm going to give you a few tips and tricks that I've discovered over the last couple of days while playing the game during the early access period. So I don't want to waste your time. Let's go ahead and get into the video. Let's go. First, you get to choose between creating a female ball player or a male ball player, and it says your choices matter to a certain extent, so you choose whoever you want. And then the next thing you're brought to is you pick your position. So you're a position player, so you can play in the infield, outfield, or as a catcher. You can play as a two-way player like Ohtani or Babe Ruth, so you get to pitch and you get to hit. In last year's game, you played as a DH. I haven't experienced with a two-way player this year. I don't know if you could play actually out in the field, but in last year's edition, you got to play as a DH on the days you weren't pitching, or you can be a straight-up pitcher. And so you only play in certain games where you make appearances, whether you're a relief pitcher, a closing pitcher, or a starting pitcher. So for this video, I'm going to pick position player, and then you have every single position to choose from. That's the one thing I love about MLB The Show. They give you a description, so you just basically pick whichever one you want to go with. So I'm gonna go with shortstop. And then now, this is new for this year. So instead of like in previous MLB The Show games, you leveling up based on your performance in games, you get tokens now based on your performance in games. So you start with 50, and then you have skill focused presets that you can pick. So those are kind of like, you know, the archetypes. Basically you select small ball and it kind of tells you what to use your tokens for, or to automatically use your tokens for you in certain categories that affect small ball. So like contact there, bunting, various things like that. Pure power, obviously that's going to affect power a little bit more. And utility seems like it's affecting fielding, base running, and contact more so. But I just leave it at custom because you get to create basically the ball player that you want to create. Now you have two options with using your tokens. You can upgrade attribute groups. You see it costs a certain amount of tokens. So like base running, I can upgrade all three of those at the same time for 3 tokens. Same thing with throwing, fielding, power, and contact. Or if you press X on Xbox, which I'm assuming would be what square on PlayStation, like if I'm on contact, I can upgrade individual aspects of contact. So like I can upgrade plate vision only if I wanted to. So you have the option of either upgrading as groups or as individual attributes. I really like that. I wish EA Sports would take note and do that for college football 26. I hate upgrading, you know, a group of attributes. And then you're brought to this screen here. So face scan is unavailable now. So like if you click on it, it just shows this information here. The companion app has not updated for MLB The Show 25. So I'm assuming once the game officially releases on Tuesday, I'm recording this on Sunday as of right now, they will probably update that at some point to where you can face scan your face in the app and then add it in the game. Last year, the face scan technology was a little lacking. I'm hoping that they updated that for this year. You can also go ahead and create your character early on, and then I saw that you could go back in and change the face to the face scan face later. It seems like you can do that. Then you have your general info, so that's your name and all of that stuff. So I'm gonna pop all that in really quick. All right, looks, you get to pick your body type, your hair, you know, adjust your skin tone, various things like that. So you just make the player however you want to. All right, then the next thing is the equipment style. So you can go through and you can, you know, change various things with your uniform, with your glove, what it looks like, your bat, like what the barrel color handle looks like, etc. All right, then the last thing is motions and sounds. And so if you played MLB The Show previously, you know this is where you could tweak your batting stance, your animations, like how you run and various things. So again, just have fun with it, play with it, create the player that you want to create. One thing they added this year is a base hit celebration. I don't remember that in previous games, and so you could choose different ones. So that's kind of cool. Oh, that one's kind of cool. I like that. So I'm showing this off because this is kind of new. I think I used that one for the character that I created to do test runs. I'm gonna do that one. They also got a reliever entrance, which is something I don't think I've seen before, but of course I didn't create a picture. But you kind of see how you might walk onto the field if you play as a relief pitcher. All right, and then once you're ready, you can start your career. All right, so you start off in high school in this game, and the games that you play in high school are kind of similar to the showcase from previous games, but they added a little bit more because you actually can go through the like draft showcase combine a little bit later, but I'll get to that in a second. I'm jumping ahead. So the first thing you get is some sort of text message from one of your teammates. It seems like it's always a starting pitcher, but the names may change. And so it talks about a project, and so you have options here that you can choose. They say your options matter, but they don't really affect anything. Like you don't get any skill boosts or anything from, whatever you pick. It'll just basically change maybe how they respond to you. But a lot of the story plays out with these text messages. So even when you're talking to your agent later, it's going to be all played out through text messages. There's not really any cutscenes involving your players. It's people speaking to you. That's one thing I do have to say that EA has over San Diego Studios. I do like in Madden in the Superstar mode that they at least bring in some cutscenes with the other characters talking to your character and interacting with your character. Like I feel like that makes it a little more realistic, even though some of the dialogue's a little cheesy. But that's really cool. So I wish that's something that San Diego Studios should probably take note of. But anyways, just pick the choices that you want to pick. So I picked that we're winging it. And so yeah, the response that really there would be different, if you pick something else probably. But then eventually they get to the point that they want it to make or whatever, usually with the last text message that they send you right before you respond. So depending on what state you choose that you're from, you'll be on one of these 4 high school teams. So I picked from Alabama, so I will be on the Central Stars. Actually, never mind. They put me on the Bobcats. That's weird. Which is supposed to be the East team. Yeah, boy. It's hard to believe it's already been 4 years, but you've grown so much as a player and a person. So they do cutscenes with your athlete, but again, there's no like spoken dialogue. Okay, there's no voice acting in this game. So in high school, you have a chance to make it to the state championship game. I didn't in my test run, Road to Glory. I meant Road to the Show. Wrong game. So we'll see if I can make it that far in this. But yeah, you'll get to play at least 2 games. You get to play the senior day game, and then you get to play in the tournament. Or maybe that is the state championship game. We'll see when we get to that point. All right, before your first fielding or hitting opportunity, what I would do is pause. And if you haven't done this before entering Road to the Show, go in and change your settings. So with player lock, you could pick sim to the next appearance. You can watch the full game. So you experience every single pitch, whether you're on the field or in the dugout. You can show the sim screen. So it just goes through a simulation. But sim to the next appearance is what most people will probably pick. Basically, you play every single play that you're involved in. Fielding opportunities, you can change it from my plays to all plays or none, and you won't have any fielding opportunities. Or you can do impact plays to where you just get the most impactful plays for your player. I do my plays so that way I can experience every single fielding opportunity that I'm involved in. If you play catcher, you get to select different opportunities like watching the full game, impact plays, quick counts, where every at bat starts in a mid or late pitch count. If you're not playing as a catcher, it doesn't matter what is on. For base running opportunities, I do all, so I can do all of my base running opportunities. And it gets a little boring sometimes with that because you got to watch your teammates maybe strike out or whatever. You watch their full of bats when you're on base. But I like to steal and various things like that, so I like to do all base running opportunities. But you do have the option to do none, so you don't have to play any of those opportunities. You can do open base, participate in base running opportunities only when there is an open base available. You can do action pitches, so you got options there. So read the little description, pick the one that works best for you. You can turn full at bat viewing on or off. So even if you do all base running opportunities, you got to turn on full at bat viewing to watch the entire at bat of your teammates from your base running perspective. If you turn it off, you'll only get part of it. So you'll still get to do your base running opportunities if you reach base, but you won't get to see every single pitch. So again, if you like to steal and stuff like that, that may affect that. And then showtime opportunities, You can turn that on or off. I don't really like Showtime. It slows down various things. So like if playing shortstop, if a ball is hitting the gap, it may slow it down. And then there's certain controls with the Showtime opportunities. Like when I was during my test run, when I was diving in the hole, I had to line up like this pulsing meter and hit A in order to actually make the catch. And then the throwing controls are different in various things. So I turn it off. But if you like Showtime opportunities, if you played MLB The Show in the past, then that may be something for you. All right, for hitting, you can change your hitting interface. You can do zone, directional, timing. If you choose to use zone, it allows for control of precise locations by using the left stick plus a swing input to dictate swing timing. So like on A, I think that's the standard contact for Xbox. So you got to kind of like anticipate where the pitch is going and move like, you know, the PCI and stuff like that. I play with the PCI off, so zone is not necessarily one for me. Directional is a primary timing based mechanic that also incorporates a small amount of swing direction influence. Mechanic allows for 2 inputs, left stick for swing direction input influence plus swing input to swing. The timing based mechanic is based solely on swing input in order for you to swing, so it really takes your timing of pressing the buttons into consideration. I use this setting. This one is kind of the hardest one because if your timing's off, you're gonna probably miss some pitches a lot more so. All right, swing input, you can change it from buttons. So A is your normal swing, B is contact, X is for power. So you can use the different input buttons based on the situation. I typically use just A for the normal swing most of the time. If I got a 2-strike count, I might switch, you know, press B for contact swing. And I only use power swing in certain situations. You can do analog flick, where you move the right stick up to initiate a normal swing and then left and right for a contact swing, and then pull down for power. I've never used this. So if you like that, then cool for you. You do analog stride, where you pull the right stick down to get the batter to start their stride, and then prior to the pitch delivery, you press, you know, the normal buttons for the different swings. But I just use buttons here. So depending on what interface that you use, so like if you use directional, these will be available for you, but they're locked for me because they don't matter because I'm using timing. You can turn on guess pitch on or off. And there's various options too with it, like PCI, quadrant, classic, no feedback. I just turn guess pitch off. I don't try to guess pitches. And then, like I said, I turn the PCI off. So I have all those options are locked for me because I have it turned off here. But if you like to have, you know, the PCI on, and then you can use that to, you know, when you move the left stick, you can see where your PCI is over the plate. And so that helps you know with your aiming and trying to figure out where the pitch is going to be. And then you can change the different options with the PCI, like how it looks, how opaque it is, if it fades out, and various things like that. So a lot of options with hitting. All right, then we get to base running. The base running interface does not matter what you have selected here, because if you're playing Road to the Show, you're player locked. So you need to go to player lock base running interface, and you can do fixed analog. So the left stick up to advance, the left stick down to return to a base. Directional analog is you press the left stick in the direction you want to run. So if you want to go to second base, I think it's up, third base is left, home is down, various things like that. Buttons, you just press the right trigger to advance, left trigger to return. I use fixed analog because one thing about fixed analog, this used to be called analog in previous games. If you're on base, you can hold the left stick, and I don't know if this works for other interfaces. I just know it works for the analog one. You can hold the left stick towards first base by holding the left stick to the left. And so if the pitcher decides to throw over, it'll automatically have you dive back to first. And so that can cut it down on if you're getting picked off a lot. You can turn auto base running on or off. So I just keep that off. Auto sliding. You can turn auto sliding on or off. And so I just leave that off. And you still get some auto sliding even with it off. Like if you're on first and the batter behind you hits into a double play, a lot of times it'll make you auto slide in the second base. All right, pitching doesn't matter to me because I didn't select a pitcher. But if you do select a pitcher, you can change the interface from meter. So you just read the description there: pinpoint, pulse, pure analog, classic. So if you played previous games, you know all about those different options. So you may have to watch somebody else's video. If you created a pitcher, they can go more in depth with these different options that you have as a pitcher. All right, for fielding, You can change your throwing interface, so you can do button accuracy. You have to hold down A, B, Y, or X. So you can have it set to where Y is second base, A is home, B is first, X is third. That's the way that I have it, and I'll show you that in just a little bit. And so basically you got to hold down the button. So if I'm trying to throw to first, I'm gonna hold down B until the meter gets into the green. If I get it into green, and you'll see what I'm talking about when I get into a game. If I get it into green, then it's gonna be a good throw. If it's in the yellow, it's gonna be an off throw, but there's still a chance like the first baseman may scoop it to save you from having an error. And if it's red, then your throw is gonna be wild and you're probably gonna have an error. You can do analog. I've never used analog before. Buttons. So basically, if you use buttons, you just tap the button and it's based on your arm accuracy attribute to whether or not you have successful throws. I don't like relying on that. I rather rely on my input. So I like button accuracy the best in my opinion, but you play around with whatever you want to use. You can do throw feedback. I just turn off. I turn off a lot of feedback stuff, but you can turn that on. Basically, I think if you have analog, yeah, you can turn that on or off. Or buttons. Button accuracy, you get to see the accuracy display actually by holding down the button and then lining it up. So that's automatically locked, and so you can't change it. Oh, I meant to go to player lock throwing interface, which I have to say. So throwing interface does not matter. I'm an idiot. All right, so basically I turn off fielder perspective throwing. So that makes B first, Y second, X third, A home. That works out easier for me. But if you turn this on, and so basically it just reverses home and second, third and first. So play around with it, figure out which one works best for you. I have it off. Throw canceling, you can turn that on or off. So basically you can cancel mid throw. So if you feel like you're gonna throw a bad throw, like it's gonna be in the red, you can cancel it. Sometimes that still counts as an error though if you do that. Like if I'm at shortstop and I choose not to throw it because I cancel the throw, it may still give me an error instead of giving the batter an infield hit. Catch position indicator. So basically it displays how the ball is going to land with a baseball image. So you can have it drifting ball, you can have it off, you can have it track ball. I use drifting ball. So basically it'll show a baseball on the field and it may slowly move a little bit as the ball curves or whatever in the air. So you just got to stand on top of it and make the catch. I've never done it with track ball and I've never had it off. I don't know how people could play with it off. I guess you got to follow the shadows or something. You can turn jump dive assist on or off. If you turn it on, pressing right bumper or right trigger will cause your player to jump or dive based on the decision made by the computer. And it's based on how the ball is going. So if the ball's going over your head, it'll make you jump no matter which one of those two buttons that you press. Or if it's going in the hole somewhere, it'll make you dive. I turn it off. So that way you got to press right bumper to jump, right trigger to dive. And then there's some other options here that I don't really play around with. You can turn on or off auto infield jump reaction or dive reaction. I leave these on to kind of just help out a little bit because sometimes, you know, those baseballs will hit pretty hard and I'm getting old. My reaction time is not like what it used to be. So leaving that on kind of help. But for the most part, though, is based on your controller inputs. Player lock infielder fielding assist is locked for me. I turn auto fielding and auto throwing off, but you can turn it on if you want to. I want me to be held responsible for it. And then you have this haptics option. You can turn off the controller vibrations on or off if you want to. All right, general. When you first fire up the game, you select your gameplay style. So there's simulation, competitive, and casual. I have it on simulation. That provides an authentic MLB experience that plays true to player and team settings, but you select it however you want to. Hitting difficulty, I've been experimenting with dynamic hitting difficulty. So basically, if you're new to the series, what that means is it starts off on beginner, and if I'm hitting the ball really well, it'll move up through the hitting difficulty progressions. Or if I start slumping and not doing as well, it'll decrease gradually. And you can change how fast that increases or decreases. I'll show you guys that in a little bit. And then if you're a pitcher, you can set the difficulty for your pitching as well. So for me, that doesn't matter. Tutorial tips, you can turn those on or off. If you're new to the game, new to the series, I'll probably turn those on. It just gives you various tips for batting, base running, pitching, fielding, and player lock tips throughout the game. I turn it off because I'm a veteran to it. Fielding aids, I turn those off as well. But there's different options here. Like if you're playing in the outfield, I would probably turn this on if I was playing in the outfield, off the wall ribbon, because it shows you where the ball is gonna bounce after it hits the wall. That can really help. But since I'm playing in the infield, none of these really matter to me. Because it's still going to tell you kind of where to throw the ball. Like your teammates will be like, go to, if you got a chance to turn a double play. And I mean, if you know baseball, you know which base to throw to anyway. So I just had the fielding aids turned off, but you can turn them on if you want to. Decisions. So there's various things you can change here. I don't think these really affect Road to the Show, so I don't even bother them. I leave auto defensive shift on because the computer will call for it. And so I just basically follow whatever they want. For umpire accuracy, you can change it from personalized to average to perfect. Perfect means they call it exactly based on the strike zone. So if it's a strike, it's going to be a strike. If it's a ball, it's going to be a ball. I never played around with average. I don't know if that's new, but it takes an average in real life games, it seems, to affect strike zone calls. That was kind of weird. I use personalized though, because I like it if it makes it more realistic, because in real life, umpires mess up calls. And so sometimes that bites you in the butt, but sometimes it helps you based on if they call a ball a strike or a strike a ball. So I leave it on personalized. The pitch clock, you know, that was introduced, a couple of years ago. And so I don't even play with that. It doesn't really matter that much for Road to the Show, I guess, unless you're a pitcher. Injuries, you can turn that on or off. Or actually, you can manual. That's weird. So let's see. Injuries can be applied within the injured list screen. Oh, so I guess if you're playing, you know, like some sort of dynasty mode or whatever, you can manually go in and make people injured. That's weird. But I just leave injuries on for Road to the Show. And I don't know, usually your player doesn't really get injured in this mode. That might be different this year. I haven't played around with it enough to find out. I just leave ejections on, but you can turn that off. I turn off balks. Perfect close play calls, you can turn that on or off, so the umpire judge close plays at the base realistically and makes occasional mistakes. Or you can turn it on and they make the correct call. So again, kind of going along with personalized for the strike zone, I just turn that off. Check swing appeals, I leave that on, but you can turn that off if you want to. The wind, you can turn that on and off. You got a lot of things you can customize, which is what I really love about MLB The Show series. Quick computer pitching, you can turn that on or off. So with it off, pitcher takes time between pitches, so that's normal. You can turn it on and they just keep a faster pace. I haven't really played around with that for Road to the Show, so maybe it affects it, maybe it doesn't. Post-game autosave, you can turn that on or off. I leave it on because in case the game crashes, you know, right after the game, hopefully that autosave got in to where I got to keep my progress that I made during the game. Then you have camera, so you can change your hitting view. I left it on catcher, which I think was the default for when I pulled it up, but you can change it to various things. You can look from the pitcher's perspective. You can look from the outfield. You can do a broadcast one. You can set custom cameras, zoom wide, you know, just various things. So just play around with it. You know, you can change the settings in between pitches, the hitting view. And so, you know, you can change it in the middle of a game. So if you pick a hitting view that you don't like, you can always change it. And then in play view, I leave it on dynamic. You can change it to high, you can change it to medium, retro, broadcast. You can do various things. I just leave it on dynamic. So like if you're on first, it'll show the ball traveling to the outfield and show your player like turning and various things. Defense, you can set the pitching view if you're a pitcher. It doesn't affect me, so I just left it at broadcast. A field and view, I leave it on dynamic as well, but you have options there. Just same as the in-play view for hitting. You can invert the vertical or horizontal axis, so the X or Y axis if you want to. I just left that off. And then the last thing is your display. And so there's a couple of new things here. So on offense, you could turn on ambush hitting controls, which displays a guide showing the controls and selections for ambush hitting. So basically ambush hitting is kind of a more realistic version of guess the pitch. You use the right stick. So like if the pitch is inside, you move the right stick to the left or the right, depending on if you're batting left or right. And I think it like affects various things, like, you know, you making contact and various things if you guess correctly. So I left it on, even though I turned off guess pitch. I think I did. Yeah, I have guess pitch off, but I left that on because I've been experimenting with it. I haven't played around with it a whole lot. You can do minimal display for your batting controls. So this is reminders and various things. You can have it completely off, or you can have the full display. I have it on minimal just to kind of remind me of a few things. Player lock base running displays, you can have that on or off. So basically, if it's on, the coach will suggest which base to run. Like they'll be like, go to 3, go to 3, go to 3. And so that's very helpful because you can't see, you know, depending on whatever camera angle you have selected, you may not be able to see the third base coach, you know, waving you to third if you're rounding second. And so I leave that on because it'll pop up text at the top like they're speaking to you, like, go home, go to third. But you can turn that off if you want to. Team color player marker ring, this is new as well. I have it off, so I haven't really experimented with that, but you can turn it on. So it uses the standard color for the player marking, or you can have it to where it matches the player's team color. Let's actually turn that on. I want to see that. Player shield display. It will display the player's name with their overall defensive shield. And so defensive shields basically represents the player's fielding attributes. And so you can select it to where you can see the name and that. You can see the overall shield, so it shows only the defensive shield. You can change it to attribute shields, so it displays shields for specific defensive attributes relevant to the play. I just leave it on name plus the shield. A reaction display, you can turn that on and off. So with it on, it displays animated arrows for the player marker to indicate fielder reaction. I like leaving that on because that helps. A player lock throw prompt, you can leave that on or off. If you have it on, you kind of see like when you're base running, it'll tell you go to turn 2 or go home, throw it home, you know, various things like that. So it's like your teammates yelling instructions to you. So I think that's pretty cool. So I just leave that on, but you can turn it off if you want to. A pitch information, you get the pitch info, pitch and batter info. You turn it off. So if you're pitching, you can see, you know, your pitch repertoire, the different pitches you could throw. With the abbreviated pitch names. And then if you have the batter info, it'll show key batter attributes. So you can play with that if you're a pitcher, however you want to. You can leave pitch feedback on or off. So success or failure of the pitching interface will not be displayed if you turn it off. If you have it on, it displays success and failure based upon user input. So you have the shared category. So then you have pitch history. So you can see by holding right trigger with the at-bat sequence, it displays the batter's previous at-bats before the first pitch of the current at-bat, then switches to the current at-bat only. And so you can see kind of, you know, what you did previously. Pitcher handedness, holding it displays recent pitches to the batter with color coding based on pitcher handedness. So I just have it on at-bat sequence. You can turn the strike zone on or off. I don't like a whole lot of stuff when I'm trying to hit. That's why I turn the PCI off. And I also turn the strike zone off. It just helps me see the ball better. But you experiment with that however you want to. Hot zones, you can have it on always preview. So red and blue zones display only on the first pitch. So you can see kind of where your hot zones are. Like where like if you've been hitting inside pitches high and tight really well, you can see that in red. It'll show that you're hot in that area. Whereas it'll show blue if you're cold in that area. So I have it on always preview. You can turn it off completely, or you can have it on the whole time. You can do pitching preview as well. So it displays only the first pitch of an at-bat while on defense, but that's if you're playing, you know, maybe pitcher or something like that. So I just have it on always preview. A pinch info, you can see the final pitch location and pitch type displays after a pitch is thrown. So I just leave that on. You can turn it off, so it will not display. In-game notifications, like live updates, display in the top left corner of the screen. You can turn that on or off. Dynamic difficulty updates. Okay, so basically you can affect, you know, the dynamic difficulty. Since I have it turned on for hitting, if I have it on progress, updates will display on screen when any progress has been made, whether big or small. You can have it set at the game start so you can see kind of the updates. So like if you moved up from beginner to the next tier of hitting, it'll show you only at the beginning of the game. You can have it new level to where when you advance to the next level or decrease to the previous level, it'll show you that. So I just leave it on progress because you can see a meter and it'll tell you kind of where you are. Like with beginner, it'll go up to beginner plus, you know, various things like that before you get to the next level. Confidence and energy bars for the pitcher, you can leave that on or off. Swing feedback, you can turn that on to get feedback after every pitch. Like it'll tell you if you swung too early or late, or you can turn it off. The base running diamond is in the top right corner when runners are on base or the batter puts the ball in place. You can turn that on or off. The scoreboard is at the bottom right corner of the screen. You can turn that on or off. And then reverse game log order, you can turn that on or off. I have it off so it displays the game log at the end of the game, or while you're viewing it, I guess, in the middle of the game in chronological order. So first inning all the way up, you can turn it on, and then it's basically reversed. So it has the most recent inning first. So at the end of the game, obviously, it'll have ninth inning first and then first inning last. So I just left that off. But that's all the different settings. So again, that would be the first thing if you did not do it in the main menu to have it carry over into you starting Road to the Show. That would be the first thing that I would do. And then we're ready to play our first high school game. So make sure you hit apply changes. The blue is what is on. So I made that mistake at first. I kept discarding stuff and I realized it's the blue. So you press it up and down, you can see if it's highlighted blue, that's what's going to be selected. So apply changes. In this screen, you can see information about your character. So looking at your attribute groupings of contact, power, speed, fielding, and arm, you can see where you are currently. And then you can see where you're projected, and your projected will change. That predicts kind of where you may end up eventually in your career. And so you have, 0 to 40 is well below average. Yellow is below average. Yellow is, or like a more of an orange, I guess, is below average. Yellow is average, 56 to 70. Green is above average, 71 to 85. And then well above average is 86 to 99. This seems to change based on your performance and based on you using your tokens to upgrade your athlete. So since I spent a bunch of tokens on speed and got my speed to 60, it's projecting that I'm going to reach somewhere between 85 and 90 at some point in my career. And then also based on where your attributes are, it gives you an MLB comparison. So I'm focusing more so on speed, and so I'm compared to Bobby Witt. One thing that they added for defense, and I'll show it to you next time on defense, you can look at through a first person view. I've played with it. I do not like it at all. All right, so you press the button. They have it in the bottom left. You press that corresponding button so you can move the camera around. All right, the runner's going. So you can turn the camera to look towards the base so you can see where you're going. The problem with this view is it's really hard to see things. Like I turned towards the base and I barely saw it, but I kind of, know where it is. So let's see if we can get a fielding opportunity in first person. Camera's very sensitive too, so it can show you kind of where the ball's gonna be. Oh, I was too late on my throw. But yeah, it gives you a little trail to where the ball's gonna be so you can get to it, but I really do not like that view. But if you like it, have fun with it. I would at least, experiment with it a little bit to see if you like it. All right, during the game, you sometimes get dynamic challenges, which are a little bit different in this year's game. So dynamic challenges this year can affect whether or not you earn tokens immediately. You can earn progress, I guess, for lack of a better word, towards earning tokens based on what you select. I really do like that. So here I can select any of these things. If I choose hit a home run, and I do, I get plus 50 towards getting, tokens, because you got to earn points in order to earn tokens. And so you get certain tokens based on your performances in each game, based on how many token points, I guess, you accumulate over the game. All right, when you get to the end of the game and it's 2 outs in the last inning, it gives you this in-game alert. And so far, I've gotten it every game. It says you may or may not be involved in the potential final out. So you can go ahead and simulate to the end of the game, or you can enter a game. I recommend entering the game so you can see how the final out plays out, because if things happen, you might be able to affect it in a certain way. Like if the ball sits at outfield, since I'm playing shortstop, I may have a chance to be the cutoff and throw it home and maybe, prevent it from scoring by getting the final out or whatever. But you can choose whichever option you want to. So if you enter the game, so we're hitting, and so I'm either going to watch the game from the dugout, which I'm pretty much watching from the dugout, even though it looks like I'm in front of the dugout, even though you can see me right there. Sorry, I hope I'm not making you guys dizzy. And you can see how it plays out. If you're in the on-deck circle, they'll have you view it from the on-deck circle, various things like that. All right, so at the end of the game, your first high school game, you're approached by a college recruiter. For me, it's always been TCU. So you just go through the conversation, and basically TCU will be recruiting you. My first time going through, I got TCU and Cal State Fullerton. They were the only two that offered me anything. I guess I didn't play well enough to get offers from the other schools. All right, so after certain games early on in your career, you can see information about either MLB teams that are interested in you and drafting you, or colleges. So Texas Christian University, TCU, they're interested in me. And so some cool things to note here. They show you information about the team, like notable alumni that came out of that school, like Matt Carpenter did. They have team goals. So, just stuff to make the story more immersive. What you really want to focus on is the offer. So with exposure, you can get 3 out of 5 stars. So that means they don't give you as much exposure as maybe some other schools might. But they are 5-star in developing your skills. And so I think that affects how many tokens you get from committing to go there when you get to that point, but we'll talk about that later. You get packages from different schools depending on if you choose to go to college, and so they give you some gear. So you can get a one-time reward, so you get a common package. The perks is what you really want to pay attention to, because depending on what type of ball player you're trying to build, that may affect what college you choose to go to. So TCU, their perk focus is power. So you get a perk for power from going there. I'm not really a power hitter. I don't really focus a whole lot on power. So in my first time playing through, I chose Cal State Fullerton because they offered, I think, a contact perk. And so that was something I wanted to focus on more so than power. And then details just kind of show you what exposure mean and impacts draft status and ratings among scouts. So if you go to TCU, you don't get as much exposure with the scouts. Skill development, school's ability to provide one-on-one focused skill development for players in the form of tokens. And so again, TCU's 5-star, so I'll probably get more tokens to develop my skills more so by going there. All right, then I got some MLB organizations interested in me. So I have the White Sox, the A's, and the Brewers. And I love how the A's are just the Athletics this year because they're in the process of relocating to Vegas. And since they're playing games in Sacramento this year, they're just called the Athletics. All right, so yeah, the final screen before you exit to your main Road to the Show screen, you can see that your college interest. So if you click interest details, you can see TCU's recruiting you, and so the other schools are not recruiting me yet. If you highlight the map screen, you can press X on Xbox to show your MLB interest as well. And then you can go over to organization interest, and then they show you the teams that are interested in drafting you as of right now. And that changes the more high school games you play and the better you perform, obviously. You can look at your player stats. So they show you how you perform in each of your high school games. So for the senior day game, I went 1 for 4. So I have a 250 batting average. And it's going to show you your rewards. So I got 277 XP, which goes towards my progress of unlocking different rewards at different levels. So I'm already on my way towards level 2 because I've been playing the game for a couple of days. And then I also earned 3 stubs that I can use. And the stub system kind of is pretty similar to in previous games, but I'll show you all of that in a little bit. So then we hit exit, and then you see your token progress. So I earned 153 points during the game, and so that earned me 1 token. It seems like to get the next token, you got to get at least 100 points in a game. Again, the more points you earn, the more tokens you get. Like I've earned like up to like 4 or 5 tokens in a game. All right, now we're on our main screen here. And so there's a couple of things that I want to show you guys from this screen here. So if you look down at the bottom, you have your home and you press the bumpers to change. So you can go straight to your next game, which is the playoff game. You can scroll over using the D-pad or the left stick. So future planning. So that college and MLB interest screen, you can look at that again. You can also go to the practice field to work on your hitting, your fielding, or your base running. And then you have this gear icon, which brings up your settings. So you can go into your settings, you can go into your sliders, file management. So that's where you're going to go to save your Road to the Show. And make sure you select the right file to overwrite and confirm save. And then yes to overwrite it. And so it shows you if your sliders or your Road to the Show progress needs to be saved. So always check that. So again, that's the gear icon. And then under file management, you can also upload to the cloud your save file. You can go into the jukebox to turn the music on or off or select what song is playing currently. You can look at your controls. You can look at any audio unlockables that you've unlocked during the game by doing various things. So you can unlock audio, which you can pick, and they'll say certain things. Like if you get a home run, they may say a particular audio clip or whatever. So sliders is something I want to go into, but actually I'm going to load my sliders. So I've been experimenting with sliders. Always go to Operation Sports and look at TNK's sliders. And I'll try to remember to put a link in the description box below of his sliders. He does a good job of testing things out and making adjustments the more he plays the game. So my sliders currently, I have the dynamic difficulty sensitivity in the middle. And I've been playing around with certain things based on TNK sliders. So you can look at where I got contact, power, timing, foul frequency, all the way down to like pitcher control, how the computer plays. You can also adjust pickoffs. So if you feel like they're throwing over the first way too much, you can lower that number. You can adjust the pitch speed. So you can see mine is slightly higher than in the middle. So I recommend playing around with sliders to see what works best for you. Or if you're the type of person that like the game the way that it is, then don't play around with sliders. All right, so that's everything for home down at the bottom. And you get more options once you make it into the minor leagues and various things like that I'll show you guys later. You hit the right bumper, it shows you your ball player. So you can go into equipment. And so this is where you can pick the equipment that you want to use. You can't change your bat yet because you can't change to a wooden bat. So it automatically gives you an aluminum bat. I wish they had options to change what aluminum bat you use. But if you have other equipment, like I have batting gloves, so you can go ahead and equip those items. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. And I'll show you how to get new items and stuff. All right, then once you pick all your equipment, just exit out of that and then go to appearance. So here's where you can do your face scan once it's available. You can change your general info, so you can change your name at any point. You can change your number. You can change your throwing hand and your bat hand. So I love that they allow you to change that even after starting. You can make adjustments to your look if you want to. All right, equipment style is where you go to change the color of your equipment and various things. So all the things that I just added, so I can go in and change the color of my glove if I want to. All right, then the third ball player option we have is stats and awards. So you can go in and look at your stats by count. I don't think that really changes until you get to minor league baseball. You can look at the scouting report. So you can look at your stats versus various teams. There's a meter that shows you your Hall of Fame potential. So based on how you perform, that meter goes up. Look at your career stats. You can look at events and awards. So it puts different events, like I played shortstop in high school. It's going to show when I get drafted, certain milestones of my career. All right, so that's the menu down at the bottom. Now let's go up to the top. So if you click here, you can see your player card. So click on kind of your player picture so you can see your different attributes and where they are. Once you get perks, you can see the benefits of those perks and how they can slightly increase your attributes. And if you're a pitcher, you have to toggle it by hitting X to show your pitching attributes and your fielding attributes. And then you hit the right bumper, you can see your contract. So obviously I haven't been drafted yet, so this doesn't really matter at this point, but you can view information about when you're going to be up for free agency and various things like that. All right, tools is where you spend your tokens. And so I have one token to spend, so we're going to go ahead and spend it. And I went up to 52 overall now. Nice. So on the contact, you see your contact versus left or right pitchers. I didn't mention this earlier. Clutch determines, how clutch you are in situations like with bases loaded. Can you drive in a run? Are you more effective at doing so? Bunting affects, how well you can bunt. The drag bunting affects how well you can drag bunt. For those of you that don't know much about baseball, drag bunting is when you kind of run up and then bunt. So you kind of run towards the front of the batter's box and kind of sweep your bat through with the bunt. Plate vision affects your ability to make contact, basically. So the higher it is, the more chance you have at making contact on pitches. Under power, you have your power versus left-handed pitchers, power versus right. So that's obviously, allows you to hit the ball harder with a higher launch. So you have more of a chance of hitting home runs. Plate discipline affects your check swing. So the higher it is, the more effective you are at check swinging. Fielding is basically how effective you are at catching the ball. Reaction affects, your ability to react to the ball. And then durability, pretty much from what I've seen, it affects the pitcher's like stamina recovery and various things like that. I think it also, and I could be wrong here, I think it also affects player injury, but in Road to the Show, you never really see your player get injured. but I still like increasing my durability just in case. I don't want to take that chance, but I think it does affect, you know, player injury. So the higher it is, the less likely you are to get injured. Throwing has arm strength and arm accuracy. So arm strength is how strong you can throw the ball, how far it can travel, how hard you can throw it, so how fast it can go. Arm accuracy basically is how accurate you are with your throws. And then base running is speed, stealing, and base running aggressiveness. So speed affects how fast you are. Stealing affects how effective you are at stealing bases. Base running aggressiveness, I think, affects the computer more so, but it's just basically how aggressive they are. So in Road to the Show, I probably wouldn't even, you know, upgrade that attribute unless you just got a bunch of tokens to spend. And so that walks you through the different attributes. Again, you can do it in groups by spending tokens, or you can go in and select individual attributes to upgrade. Next to tools is perks. And so you unlock these at certain points throughout your career. So batting, fielding, and base running. So when I did my Cal State Fullerton playthrough, I went there and they focus on contact. So I unlocked my first batting perk, which I think the one I got was, inner piece. So I gained a boost to contact when hitting pitches thrown down the middle. So that was a cool little perk. And once you unlock a perk, they're automatically active. So you don't have to go in and select the perks that you want to use. So like in my Cal State Fullerton playthrough, I'm in the minor leagues now. I have 2 batting perks unlocked. And so I have both of those that are affecting various things. And so these perks can affect your attributes, and affect, you know, your performance in the game. I've only unlocked them based on, you know, at certain times during my career. Like I got one when I first went to Cal State Fullerton, and then one when I made it to the minor leagues. I'm not completely clear on how to unlock these otherwise. I guess you just have to progress through Road to the Show, but if I get more information about it, I'll definitely try to, you know, share that with you guys. And then packages is where you can go in. Your agent and various things may give you a package, or your team that you're playing for, and so you can go in to open up that package and see what gear that you've gotten. You can sell the gear, you can keep the gear, and I'll show you how to do that in just a second. You can also go into the show shop or the community marketplace in order to gain cards and new gear. So if you go into the show shop, you can see you can buy certain packages. So you can buy equipment packages, so you get 4 items. You can buy an equipment package, which gives you 1 item, but it's diamond. You can get a Legends bat skin. I mean, you use stubs to buy these. So I have 186,000 stubs because I played the game with early access, and I got a ton of stubs because I don't do Diamond Dynasty. And so I sold all the cards. Like I got a Diamond Mike Trout. Those of you that do the Diamond Dynasty, you're probably sitting there like, why did he sell that Mike Trout? But I made a lot of stubs based on that. So you can choose to spend your stubs that way, and you kind of take a gamble here. I don't like spending my stubs that way. Obviously, you can hit right trigger and they can sell you more stubs, so you can pay real life money to buy more stubs if you want. Now, in order to get gear without taking a risk on buying the packs and just seeing what you get based on the luck of the draw, there's 2 ways that you can purchase equipment. The first is community marketplace. You can go through equipment, sponsorships, stadiums, and unlockables, and MLB cards. And so if you're only playing Road to the Show, you want to look at the equipment, the sponsorships, and all that other stuff. Doesn't matter. Some of the unlockables do, so you may want to look at that as well. But looking at the equipment, they have it listed in order based on diamond. And then you have to hit the page, the right trigger, to keep going all the way to gold or silver. This can be a little bit overwhelming, especially if you're new to the series. So what you can do, let's say you're going in to find a bat to purchase. You can hit X for filters, and then you can search by name if you know the name of the item, or you can click on filter, and it'll bring up these different filters here. So you can filter out price depending on how much stubs you have, so a minimum price and a maximum price. You can filter out by brand if you want to. You can select slot type, so you can look at batting gloves, fielding gloves, various things like that. You can do it by rarity. You can do it by affordable. So since I'm looking for a bat, I'm just going to do slot type. And so I want to make sure that a yellow check mark is checked. Okay. If I hit X, it unchecks it. Okay. And you want to make sure that nothing else is checked. So I'm going to uncheck those and then check bat. And then when I hit the search button, it's going to bring up bats only. And so I can see all the diamond bats all the way to gold and silver. Again, you can do more filters. Like if I don't want to price over 1,000 stubs, I can type that in, select that, and now when I search, it'll only bring up the bats that are 1,000 stubs or below. And so basically you find what you want, hit A, and then you go to buy to sell options, and then you can buy it. Okay, the cheapest price is 101, so you can get it for 101 stubs, or you can sell. So like if I had this old hickory bat, this gold bat here, I could sell it as well. The buy nows that show 0, those either you have to unlock based on certain things, or if you go into it, nobody's selling it right now. So there's no listings, but you can still buy it. You can create a buy order. And so it gives you all the stuff there, like the item will be taken immediately for escrow. Seller will be taxed 10% for all items sold. I don't know exactly completely how this works, but you can enter a price for it. Okay. And so the seller will receive 900 stubs if you get it from the market, and you click finalize order. I'm not going to do that because I don't want to buy one, but basically when it becomes available, you know, it'll let you know. There'll be a prompt on the screen if you're playing, or, you know, if you load up the game the next day, it'll show you if you received that item or not. So the other way to buy equipment for your character is a more hidden way. On Xbox, and I always forget what this button's called, it's the button in the middle with the two squares kind of overlapping each other, the two rectangles. So if you hit that button, it brings up this information here. I don't know what that would be the equivalent on PlayStation. You'll probably have to look that up. But you look at things that like your friends who's online, you could turn crossplay on or off, various things like that. But if you scroll over to collection by hitting right bumper, you can see my inventory. And so when you click on that, you can see various things that you own based on your player cards, sponsorships, your equipment. So if you click on equipment, it takes you to this screen here. I like this screen a little bit better. So you basically, if you want a bat, you can scroll until you find the one that you want. Now, the equipment this year does not give you bonuses to your attributes. It gives you boosts to your perks. And so like basically they made the equipment kind of more cosmetic this year, which I kind of like. I didn't like buying equipment in the past to make my player better, if that makes sense. So pretty much for bats, all the silver bats, no matter which one you buy. So basically you just pick the one that you like the best, that you think looks the coolest or whatever. It gives you a 2% boost to all hitting perks. So any hitting perks that you have unlocked, you'll get a 2% boost. Gold gives you 4%, and then diamond gives you 6%. And so that's the same for anything. So I go over to batting gloves, you can see the diamond gives me a 6% boost to all hitting perks. And so basically you get what you can afford. So it's no more, it makes it feel like I'm not paying to play now, if that makes sense. Like I need a whole bunch of stubs to make my player better. So diamond items are still gonna give you more of a boost. They're gonna still give you a little bit more, and they also cost more. So like these Under Armour, they cost 15,000 stubs. Whereas the silver gloves that I have now, they only cost 35 stubs. And I bought the equipment that I have currently before I got all those stubs from selling those player cards. So now I can afford diamond. I can pretty much diamond out my player, but I don't really like to do that. I like to do a gradual process. At least that's the way I used to do it in the previous games. So I didn't make my player too overpowered early on. Like I really want to spend some time developing my player by playing through games and stuff like that. But you play the game however you want to. So you can buy diamond stuff if you want to early on. That's up to you. All right, so that's pretty much everything for right now in your home screen. So whether or not you play 2 or 3 games in high school, win the state championship or not, after your high school career is done, you get invited to the MLB Draft Combine, and you have the choice to attend it or skip it. If you highlight no, I will skip, it tells you what will happen if you skip the combine. So you have a reduced chance to be a first round pick in this year's MLB draft, a reduced chance of being fast tracked to the majors, missed opportunities for player progression rewards, no new interest from college baseball programs. So I think it's in your best interest to attend it, but you have the option to skip it or attend it or not. If you're satisfied with the college offers that you've received over the course of playing through your high school games, then you might choose to skip it If you choose to go to the Draft Combine, it turns into how Road to the Show used to start in recent years with the little showcase games. You start off, you hit, you take some fielding. Obviously, you'll pitch some, I think, if you're a pitcher, and then you play through 3 games. So it's what you're used to. So with the high school mode, it added a few extra games that you get to play in before you get to the minor leagues. And then college adds a few more games that you have the opportunity to play as well. So that can help you get used to your timing and various things, get used to the game, especially if you're not too familiar with playing MLB The Show already. If you choose to go to the Combine, you get a call from your draft advisor. She lets you know that the Combine is a great chance to improve your draft stock. And so if you go to the Combine too, you can still choose to go to college later. I do want to throw that out there. One thing after finishing each day at a Draft Combine, before you get back to the main Road to the Show menu, you can look at leaderboards. And so you can see who hit the longest hit. So I was 7th. And it also shows you the longest MLB home run. So that's cool. You can also look at the hardest hit ball, so the exit velocity. So I was 28th. And then after day 1, you just play through 3 more games as a part of days 2 through 4 of the Draft Combine. And you try to do the best that you can in order to impress scouts and have more MLB teams interested in you, as well as maybe get a few more college offers before it's time for you to make your decision. After the Combine is over, you get a call from your draft advisor telling you about your draft stock. The draft advisor also mentions interest from colleges. The advisor tells you should pick a school soon. That way you'll know where you're going to play college baseball if you don't want to sign a pro contract after the draft. So it's just like real life. You have a choice. So you can go ahead and pick your college. And then after the draft, you can decide if you want to go to college or if you want to go on to minor league baseball. You're also asked, to choose a team if you want to get drafted by a particular team, or you can just let the draft decide. So you can let fate decide. I always choose that option because I think it's a little bit more fun. All right, so then you're given a choice of your school. And so this playthrough, I ended up getting offers from all. So again, like I mentioned before, you want to look at the exposure. So if you want to have a chance of getting drafted higher, then the higher the exposure with that particular team, that's probably where you want to go. Or if you really want to develop your skills, then you look at skill development. The higher they're rated, the more tokens I think that you're going to get in order to develop your skills. You also want to look at the perk that's offered by each school because they are different. And depending on your play style, that may also factor into your decision. So you got 3 things to kind of really look at. And of course, a lot of people were upset that there are not more teams in the game. And I get that to a certain extent, but of course, just be happy that we got 8 teams. I think they might be testing the waters for a college baseball game maybe in the future. And so maybe eventually they'll get more teams like they have for college football, and we might get a college baseball game. So I'm holding out hope for that. But anyways, you just pick the school that you want to go to, and then you'll be taken to the draft. So again, just because you pick the school doesn't mean you have to go to college. The Cleveland Guardians have drafted you in the 2nd round. What's your reaction? So you could be excited, emotional, or disappointed. I'm just gonna choose emotional because I'm gonna go to college. So, and then after college, you'll probably get drafted by a different team. That's what happened to me. So the Guardians may not draft me again, even though they'll probably still be interested in you. All right, so when the choice comes up, they tell you what can happen if you go to college or start a pro career. So if you go to college, you receive all benefits of Vanderbilt's official offer. You pursue being the #1 overall pick in a future MLB draft. You'll begin your pro career, so you'll begin AA ball as a 21-year-old after college is completed. If you start a pro career without going to college, you receive a sign-in bonus of 5 tokens, a reduced chance of being fast-tracked to the major leagues, and begin pro career as an 18-year-old. I'm assuming you will start in AA just like in previous games, but I have yet to go straight pro. So we're going to go to college. Even though you get to start older, after going to college, I just feel like the benefits seem better from what I've experienced so far. And obviously when you get to college, you don't get to play through the whole college experience. They jump you forward to your senior year. But you do unlock some things by going to college. And I'm assuming if you went to pros, straight to pros too, you would also have some things unlocked. So by going to Vandy, I got 20 tokens. I think when I went to Cal State Fullerton, I had a little bit more tokens than that. I can't remember the exact amount because they had a higher rating for skill development. I got a contact perk, so we'll see what perk that is, and I'll kind of show you the perks in just a second. We get an equipment boost pack from Vanderbilt as well, and then exposure can increase your draft status and visibility for scouts. So we get to choose a perk here. So, and they're always random when you get to choose. So, all right, but then you can see my perk, and perks can be upgraded. So if you click on it by hitting A, you can see what it gives you and then what it gives you for each upgrade. Basically, at level 1, I gain a boost to contact late in the game while your team is losing. But then if I upgrade it, I can choose between one of these 2 upgrades. And it tells you, like, this one affects home games. This one affects any games. So you get choices, and you got to use tokens. So in addition to improving your attributes, you also have to use tokens to increase your perks. And it shows you that all of these things must happen in order for the perk to activate. So if I choose this upgrade, I have to be at home, bases have to be empty, offense is losing, and 0 outs. And I also get an increased effect. So when the perk is active, I receive contact boost on pitches down the middle. It increases from 30% to 40%. Whereas if I choose this one is for any game, so it doesn't matter if it's at home or not. But the increased effects I get is contact boost on pitches down the middle, 30%. So you have choices to make when upgrading your perks. When you choose one of the upgrades, you lose the other option. So you move on to the next level and you have 2 new options to choose from. So make sure that you choose the option that you really want. Whether you win the national championship in college or not, it is time for the draft yet again. Once again, you get an opportunity to pick your team, or you can let fate decide it. All right, so after you've been drafted, you unlock a few things like some tokens, and then I got this 2x multiplier. All right, then you meet your manager of your AA team once you make it there. And then you learn from your agent before your first AA game that she will be sending you packages from time to time. So that's really cool. I like that they do that so you don't necessarily have to go out and just spend a bunch of stubs on gear unless you want to. But you don't know when the packages are coming, so you got to kind of wait a little bit to receive the package too. So, all right, last thing before I end this video, when you get the AA ball, you get a few extra things down in this bottom menu. So in addition to home and ball player, you also get team now, so you can look at your team roster. So it lists everybody in order based on their overall, and you can look at it by position as well. So that gives you an idea about where you stand as far as your ranking in the system. So I'm the lowest rated shortstop, but the starting shortstop in major leagues is a 74 overall. So if I can progress quickly, I may be taking his spot. So it gives you an overall idea about where you're at on your team currently. You also have lineups, so you can view the lineup. So they got me batting 6th to start off with. Oh, in some lineups I'm batting 7th. You can look at the pitching rotation, see kind of the order, and then who's in the bullpen. You can look at the injured list. So to tell you who is injured and for how long. Currently, we don't have anybody injured. And then you can view transactions. So you can look at transactions across the league. You can also look at trades, injuries, so you can break it down, free agency, roster related. You can also look at it by team. So you can see what all your team has done. You also have the league tab as well, where you can look at the current standings. So you can see where your team falls in whatever league you play in. You can look at statistics, so you can look at player statistics. So you can look at how everybody's doing on your team for the season. You can also do it by position as well. So you look at, again, how you stack up with other people at your position. You can look at team rankings. So it lets you guys know kind of where you're at with batting average, at bats, and various other statistics. You can look at MLB records. So they list the single season records and then the career records. You can also look at achievements for your team. So you can see how many pennants they've won, division titles, Cy Young winners they've had, etc. You can look at the league leaders, so you can see where everybody stands, but we haven't played any games yet, so there's not really much to look at. You can also look at the top prospects, so you can look at the top 100 prospects. Let's see where we fall, see if we're in the top 100. Oh man, I'm lower than I thought I would be. We're 40th in the top 100. You can also look at top 20 by organization. So we're number 2 in the Pirates organization. And it gives you kind of an ETA of when you might make it to the major leagues. That changes depending on how you perform. You can also look at the top 20 by position. So if I go to shortstop, in our position, we're 12th. You can look at awards, and that's for major leagues. They don't show any minor league awards. You can look at all-star voting, which is also for the major leagues. So you can see where the vote stands. So once they start playing games, you can kind of see who might make it to the all-star game. And then you have stadiums, so you can see where everybody plays in each league. All right, and that's all I have for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, this Road to the Show guide, especially if you're a new player to the MLB The Show series. I really hope this video helps you kind of understand some of the Road to the Show features, especially the new ones that's been included. If you like this video, definitely hit that like button. More MLB The Show videos coming from me in the near future. I'm going to kind of use this game to kind of bridge the gap between college football 25 and college football 26 release dates. So I want to do a few more MLB The Show videos on my channel, so be on the lookout for those. If you're new around here, check out all my content. In addition to tutorial videos, I do other sports gaming videos like Let's Plays and various things like that. I play indie horror games on my channel. I got a variety of gaming content, so if you like the content, definitely hit that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it. My goal is to hit 10,000 subscribers this year. I'm closing in on 3,500, getting pretty close to that. So help a brother out. If this video helped you out and you enjoyed it, I'm gonna get out of here and get this thing edited. I will see you guys in another video, whatever video that may be. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. You could have been anywhere around the world playing MLB The Show 25 early access yourself, but you chose to spend some time with your boy Azkhalon, and I greatly appreciate it. Y'all take care. Peace.